Hey everyone, welcome back to the sunny side. I'm Sunny, and this video right here is all about Mars in Gemini. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is having a super amazing day. For those who are new here, just want to let everybody know that I am a professional astrologer. I do write the horoscopes for some of the newspapers up here in Canada. And if you want me to look at your chart, or if you'd like a personal reading, then just check it out, how to do that in the description box below. In addition to all of that, we have live streams every morning here on the channel, and where I read your horoscopes. And every night, or whenever I can get a chance, we come back, we return, and we have live streams where I read your tarot cards. So if you're interested in anything about that, then by all means, check out the channel. And if you drop by, please say what's up. In addition to that, if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. All you gotta do is go boo. Just hit the subscribe button. Maybe give the video a bloop, a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave it in the description box below. And that's the action. Alright, so for those who are new to this whole thing, to the SunnySide videos, just letting you know, I'm going to give you a little blah 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 on what's going on the channel. Then I'm going to give you my 2 cents on Mars in Gemini. And then I'm going to read for you guys some interpretations of this aspect from some of the more notable or noteworthy astrologers out there. And I'm going to give you my 2 cents on what they have to say. And just take it all with a grain of salt. There are a lot of stereotypes out there, and even the professional astrologers, they some of them, you know, when you write horoscopes all the time, or you're writing books all the time, there's a tendency to like puke out a lot of the stereotypes out there. And you know, again, you know, not saying anything is good or bad, but I'm gonna hopefully dispel some of the myths, and you know, maybe together we'll learn a little bit on this journey. So once again, please subscribe to the channel. Please give the video a bloop, a thumbs up, and if you want to donate to the channel, you can do that through PayPal in the description box as well. All right, here we go. So what's up? All right, so here we go. So what's new on the channel? For those who don't know, for those who are new here, we have a really cool store here on the channel. It's at the Astro-Report.com, and there's a link right there in the description box below. And my wife, the beautiful and amazing SLC, she designed all of these super cool hoodies and leggings, and she designed the tapestry in the background. The leggings are very popular, and if you want to support the channel, in addition to donating to the channel on PayPal, you can pick up one of these cool mugs that she made. You know, together it's a beautiful day on the sunny side, and or one of these hoodies and tees. Check it out. Let's see what comes up here. So I have a couple of these shirts. I love them. She created a bunch of memes shirts. This is for Virgo. It says this is for Crab Stabo. And they come in different colors. This is my favorite cup right here. I have a couple of these. I really like them. Alright, what else is going on? Some interesting stuff. Let's see if we can pull the hoodie up. She designed a hoodie for everyone. So here we go. This is Gemini. Check out this badass hoodie. I really like these. Well, I'm a double Scorpio, right? So I love black hoodies. So anyways, this is for Gemini. How cool would it be to show up at yoga in one of these hoodies, Gemini? Check it out. Maybe you're a softer Gemini, you're a nice and chill Gemini, or maybe you're an aggressive Gemini and you want to show up to yoga in this real badass red hoodie. Oh no, come on. Alright, let's back it up. Let's try it in dark blue. Anyways, they come in a lot of different colors. And there's lots of stuff here on the channel. We have different mugs. Where's the Gemini mug? I'm not going to spend all video looking at the stuff on the channel. Just to let you know. I'll show you the Sagittarius mug. So in addition, there's the mug on one side, and on the back, we have the constellation. Super cool. Check that out, that mug constellation. Woo. And also, there are some leggings here on the channel. Our leggings are very popular. Alright, blah, 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 blah. I got to show off how to support the channel. And that's how we do it. And that's one of the ways to do it. Just head to the astroside.com and check it out. And, you know, it's always time to, you know, whatever. Alright, let's see what else is going on. Time to get down to Mars in Gemini. Alright, so first off, there are 3 parts of an astrological chart here. There's more than 3, but we have the, Gemini's on the ascendant. Let's put Aries on the ascendant, so you'll see it's easier to see where Gemini falls in your chart and why there's so many stereotypes out there and why sometimes we get it wrong. Gemini is right here. We have the house, which is number 3. This is where in the zodiac it is. And then we have the type of energy. This is Mars over here. And then we have the sign, which is Gemini, which is how everything is colored. And that's the deal. Mars is the energy. It's what's going to happen. If it's the moon is what you want to do, where you want to be. Venus is what you attract. Mercury is what everybody's talking about. The sun's what everybody's looking at. And Mars is where is where you put your, Mars is I want to fuck you up energy. So if you want to, wherever Mars is in the chart, that's where there's going to be a bit of fight in your chart. There's going to be a little angst, and that's the way you behave when people cross you. So it's also where you want to put a lot of your energy. So if Mars is in the 7th house, you're going to fight with your partner a lot. If Mars is in the 4th house, your parents might be divorced. If Mars is in the 10th house, you're going to fight very publicly. If Mars is in the 9th house, every time you take a vacation, you're going to fight with somebody. If Mars is in the 9th house, you might get kicked out of school, or you might spend a lot of energy and go very far in school. It's energy, for better or worse. It's not lovey, lovey, lovey. It's, hey, I'm doing this. And so keep that in mind. Mars is how you put your physical expressions in this world. It's how you exert yourself, for better or worse. So if Mars is in the 12th house, you're going to a lot of behind the scenes energy. So it's what you're doing and it's what's happening to you. So Mars in the 12th house means you're going to fight with people behind the scenes. People are going to attack you behind the scenes. You're going to mess people up behind the scenes. Mars in the 8th house, this is your sexuality and it's your joint finances. Mars in the 8th house, if you have Mars in the 8th house, you're going to spend a lot of money on other people. Mars in the 8th house means you're going to be taken advantage of sexually. Mars in the 6th house, this is what you do every day. It means you're probably going to have bad habits. You might smoke. Mars in the 6th house might smoke. Mars and Gemini in the 6th house, those guys smoke. Mars in the 6th house means you have to watch out. You're going to be busy every day. Now, check this out. When we discuss things, when we hear the interpretations a little later in the video, it's very easy to confuse the sign and the house. The sign rules the house, but it doesn't mean, and they have similarities, but they're not the same. So once again, Mars in Gemini in the 7th house is going to be, Mars in Gemini in the 7th house is going to be very unstable in love relationships. The Mars in Gemini in the 7th house is probably going to cheat on their partner. Mars in Gemini in the 4th house is probably going to be very faithful. Mars in Gemini in the 4th house, Mars in Gemini in the 4th house means you're probably going to have a lot of you might be adopted and have 2 sets of parents. Normal stuff. Mars in Gemini in the 10th house means you might have you might work 2 jobs. You put a lot of energy into working 2 jobs. So it all depends on where it falls in your chart. So there's similarities, not necessarily the same. In addition, Mars in the 3rd house. The 3rd house rules communication, transportation, and your brothers and sisters. So Mars in the 3rd house would indicate that you fight with your brothers and sisters. And on regular horoscopes, like when I'm writing the horoscopes, I'll see you might get into a traffic accident. It's that kind of deal like that. Now, all right, so that's the houses. Whatever, Sonny, we're here to learn about Gemini. Tell me more about it. All right, so here we go. So Mars in Gemini. Before we get to that, let's figure out what that means. So Mars is pushy. Mars is, hey, fuck you. Mars isn't like, Mars is, what you do when someone messes you up. So say you're fighting with somebody. The sign is how you're going to fight with them. The house is where you're going to fight with them. The sign is how you're going to fight with them. Mars in Aries is very direct. You're going to directly butt heads with that guy. Mars in Cancer Cancer is very nurturing. Energy moves like this. You're going to fight with that guy, and then you're going to come back. You're going to be, hey, what about this? Then you're going to go away. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And then you're going to run away. Hey, blah, blah, blah. They're going to talk, then silent treatment. Talk, silent treatment. That's the Cancer energy. Mars in Scorpio is going to go behind the scenes and mess somebody up. Mars in Mars in Libra, Mars in Libra, you're gonna have sex with the guy's best friend. Like there's lots of different ways to mess people up in the zodiac. And so Mars in Leo, you're gonna outshine the person. You're gonna be like, I'm Leo, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And so so that's Mars mess you up energy. Mars is gonna mess you up. Mars wants to get out there. It's also your sexual energy. Now there are two celestial bodies which rule sexuality. One is Mars and one is Pluto. Today we're talking about Mars. Mars is very aggressive, raw sexuality. And that's down in, okay. So when you apply it to Gemini, okay, so that's what you got to know. So Mars in the 9th house means you're going to have sex on your vacation, you're going to travel, trips. Anyways, let's get back to it. So that's the first thing you need to know. Mars, it's a very aggressive, active energy. It could be good, it could be bad. It depends, how you're feeling on that day and what's going to happen. Now, Mars in Gemini works like this. Gemini in the Tarot is represented by the Lover's card. Can you guys see that? This is the Lover's card in the Tarot. This card is all about getting out there, meeting someone new, and most of all, changing your mind. This card means someone's going to come along to change your mind. And that's what Gemini is all about. Gemini's, it's not that they have differing opinions. It's not that they're schizophrenic, or so to speak, or bipolar or anything like that. But Gemini has an ability. It's like Gemini's an air sign, right? So Gemini Gemini is mutable, which is changing air, which is ideas and communication. So Geminis can take both sides of the argument. Libra listens to both sides of the argument, and they will, balance things out. Aquarius is a humanitarian, a big, hey, let's all go get naked in the bush kind of approach to communication. Whereas Gemini is very much like, this side, what about this side, what about this side, what about this? And they're constantly oscillating because it's a mutable energy, mutable, changing. And it's not that they're changing because they're wishy-washy inside. Not at all. They're changing because more information is coming in to make them change their mind. It's that simple. Some signs, where they take information in, then they make up their mind and that's it. And if something comes in that says, hey, 1 + 1 is not 3, like, I don't know what kind of donkey math you're doing. 1 + 1 is not 3. Some people will still believe for their entire lives 1 + 1 is 3. That's just the way it is. Some people are so stubborn and so fixed. You can say, this is black. And they're like, no, man, that's white. Or that's the way it is. I don't care what you say. That's the way it is. And so, but Gemini is not like that. They are changing their ideas. They're the fastest thinking sign of the zodiac. And so these guys will change their opinion based upon more information coming in. Nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. And so, whereas to juxtapose that with Libra, Libra's waiting, they're waiting and they're balancing until they have all the information, and then Libra, being a cardinal sign, will make a decision based on that. Gemini, hey, no, I didn't look at it like that. Check it out. And so, once again, the Lover's card means someone is going to come along to change your mind. Now, when you apply Mars to this kind of energy, Mars means, Gemini. So Mars, disruptive energy, is coming in to create a little cacophony, a little bit of noise is happening in your how you think, how you communicate, how you relate to others, how you make up your ideas. Now, Mars and Gemini can be highly argumentative. They can be extremely petulant. They will definitely give you the silent treatment. They are extremely smart. Mars and Gemini is also like this. Gemini is a very curious sign, and they're the tricksters of the zodiac. So when Mars is applied to Gemini, it can be a very mischievous person. Wherever it falls in the zodiac, in any one of these houses, anywhere you find it, Mars can be very mischievous in Gemini. Mars can be very, it's very curious in Gemini. So people with Mars in Gemini are going to be curious. They're going to be mischievous. They're going to be somewhat deceptive. You know, Gemini and the third house, when you put them together, that's all about salesmen, snake oil salesmen, con artists, smooth talkers. You know, Mars, Venus in Gemini is the placement for someone who's a smooth talker. Mars in Gemini is in the third house is someone who's an aggressive talker. Do it, because I tell you, you know. So, just saying, be careful. These guys are salesmen of the zodiac, and they're salesmen. They're natural-born salesmen. The only thing is, what they're selling may not be in your best interest. And this goes true for all of the zodiac signs. Mars in any one of the signs, it highlights an aggressive quality of that sign. Mars in so it just highlights an aggressive quality of that sign. For better or worse, Mars can bring out the worst in people. It can bring out the best in people. It can also bring out the worst in people. So what else is Mars? Mars is competitive. So what does it mean in Gemini? Someone who wants to debate. They're going to fight just for the sake of fighting. You know, so and they're not necessarily, so they just want to fight for the sake of fighting. Like, what the hell? Just let them go. And that's the action. So once again, Gemini. So what else? Gemini is a very sexy sign. In some astrological interpretations, Gemini is one of the sexy signs of the zodiac. People are many astrologers. Well, I don't know, many, like, you know, who really, you know, check things out. They consider Gemini one of the signs of sex in the zodiac, and as such, when you apply Mars, your sexual energy, to Gemini, a highly sexual sign, you're going to get guys who are loose in the zipper. Now, once again, Gemini can be a very faithful sign, and but we're not talking about Gemini. We're talking about Mars in Gemini. So if Mars in Gemini, okay, so Mars in Gemini, what do you need? Okay, so Mars in Gemini, highly, highly sexual people. What else is going on here? Mars in Gemini are constantly on the move. Their mind is extremely active. They are highly curious. They are, again, they're mischievous. They're very sexual. And so, sexually, they don't necessarily want they don't need a lot of partners. They're not, like, sexually curious about the other person, but they're curious about, they want to experience things. So, that's what they do. They want to experience things. They get bored very easily. These are the guys who talk a lot during sex. You know, you can seduce these guys with their words. They want to talk you into bed. And once again, they're sexy, they're seductive. They're not romantic seductive, although they can be romantic, but they're more intellectually seductive and communicatively seductive. And it's different. It's not Venus energy. It's Mercury seductive energy. And, you know, brains are sexy, and Gemini has sexy brains. And so that's the action. Anyways, that's my two cents, or my two shakes, or whatever you want to call it, about Mars in Gemini. And that's the deal. My energy's all over the place today. I just finished my live stream. All right, whatever. Let's get on to it. Let's see what the experts say. Now, these guys wrote on and on and on about Mars in Gemini. What else? Mars in Gemini. These guys like to write. You know, these guys, they write a lot. They communicate with their hands. They have to watch out for accidents with their hands, with their arms. These guys can get stressed out very easily. They can stress other people out very easy. They have to watch out for circulation problems. Right? Mars is where there are going to be problems in your life. So watch out for circulation problems. Watch out for communication problems. Watch out for foot in the mouth disease. Watch out for loose in the zip. These guys can have their feet in their mouth. They have to watch out for being loose in the zipper. You can trust Mars in Gemini, but you have to be careful because they're mischievous. They like to screw around. They get bored, right? Any of the signs that get bored like to screw around. It doesn't mean they want to screw around sexually, but they're bored. You know, keep them stimulated, and everything is okay. Next, let's get down and see what the experts say. First up, Mars in Gemini, natal Mars, which is your birth Mars in Gemini in your astrological chart. Francis Secoin and Louis Acker say, Mars in the sign of Gemini indicates mental activity and aggressiveness. Got that? Gemini's mental activity, Mars is aggressiveness. That's pretty straight ahead. Those with this Mars position have active and critical minds, and as a rule, engineering and mechanical skills. All right, fair enough. This position gives a love of debate and intellectual contest. Oh, nice writing, guys. If Mars is afflicted, they can be argumentative and irritable. Definitely. Ingenuity and resourcefulness are typical with this position, but not necessarily perseverance unless other things in the horoscope support it. That's is a bit of a stereotype, but it's true. Next, reporters, critics, and journalists. Got it? Reporters, critics, and journalists often have Mars placed in Gemini. Great restlessness goes with this position, leading to many changes of occupation, and these people may work at several jobs simultaneously. If Mars is afflicted in Gemini, then they can be sarcastic and rude. Julie and Derek Parker, they say, this placement stimulates the mind, although many astrologers have found that Mars is not well placed in this sign and it is not physically invigorating. Okay, whatever. It says they do not necessarily agree, provided that some kind of intellectual motivation for physical action is shown. All right, whatever. These guys are talking about incorporating a mind-body approach to things. Yes and no. It's important. Anyways, Geminis tend to be a little on the thin side. You know, they can be a little bit wiry looking, kind of like some Scorpios. Geminis can be a little bit bony at times because, like, they're a high-strung, high-energy, high-metabolism sign. It's important for the individual to exercise the body as well as the mind, but he or she may not be particularly inclined to do so instead of some sort of intellectual challenge is involved. All right, as far as I'm concerned, okay, many forms of exercise will be tried, but most will be deemed boring. If this does not happen, restlessness will build up, bringing a rather sharp and bad temper and irritability that will be, they get, when Geminis get bored, they become restless and irritable. And I'm not going to read any more of that because that's a bit of a stereotype. And I think these guys are stretching. As I'm reading it here, they seem to be putting the ideas together and thinking on their toes. And it's not that it's bullshit, but it's not as well thought. It's a little bit bullshit. So, because I know many Geminis who go to the gym. I know lots of Geminis who go to the gym. And it's not, yes, they don't like to be bored, but with anything, you have to find what activity suits you. Things like, you would think something like long distance running, for example, would be boring for Geminis, but not necessarily. It clears the mind. So you don't just have to, so things that are boring, Geminis aren't into. But if things that are, Gemini's not a long distance, they're not a fixed sign. They're mutable signs. Pisces, Gemini, these guys are, Virgo, Virgos go to the gym and they're a mutable sign, they're earth, so for Gemini, physical fitness, for anything Gemini has to do, just know they get bored very easily. So, but they could go to the gym just like everyone else, and no, your mind doesn't have to be involved in it. All right, next, the arms and hands are vulnerable, so the subject should be encouraged to wear protective gloves when gardening or doing rough chores, and be very careful when handling sharp tools or hot dishes, especially when Mars is making transits to the personal planets or ascendant. As far as the sex life is concerned, here is a lively, experimental partner who will enjoy a rewarding sex life from youth right to old age. The attitude towards sex will be lighthearted. This placing tends to take some of the steamy passion out of the sphere of life, but the subject will nonetheless be energetic and often athletic lover who be equally energetic, youthful, and athletic. Yeah, Mars and Gemini people tend to look young. Anyone with a strong Gemini energy signature in your chart will look youthful for the majority of their life. They will look a lot younger than they actually are. Sydney Omar says, Mars in Gemini gives the native an active, restless mind. Definitely. It makes him want to change things, to bend situations to his own will. He likes action, but tries too hard too soon. Mars and Gemini, they get bored very easily. I don't know, too hard too soon is kind of an Aries thing. Mars in Gemini is adventurous, but once the chase is over, he doesn't enjoy the victory as much as he should. And this includes numerous areas of life, including sex, food, and money. Thus, there are numerous affairs, and there's generally a restless nature and a dissatisfaction with home life. All right, fair enough. Lynn Burbick says, you will attract with the gift of the gab by being in the know and on the go, with a lively adolescent-like wit and charm that dazzles and flatters with ease, and a kind of you can't pin me down vibe, with the manual skills and agile body displaying versatility in more than one field. Can you guys tell that these guys, this is someone writes for a living? It's really funny. And so, anyways, let's back that up. This is interesting. Geminis, manual skills, agile body, and displaying versatility in more than one field. Mars in Gemini, extremely versatile person. They can do many things. They can multitask. If I were to say one thing, Gemini, I'd say, is the sign of multitasking. You are attracted to lively situations where there's plenty of opportunity to interact in a quick, light, and verbal fashion. To others who have ready wit and a flashy sense of humor, and to where you are challenged to show your mental muscles or to keep people guessing. All right, whatever. You're totally repelled by dull, homely, predictable situations where nothing is happening at the very moment, by others who cannot get their minds into gear and who are too slow to appreciate the pace of life as you'd like it, by a lack of stimulation. Okay, so anyways, once again, Mars and Geminis get bored easily. John Towley says, you're quite sensitive. Okay, here we go. Gemini is one of the more psychic signs of the zodiac, for those who don't know. And they're remarkably sensitive, and they're highly intellectually sensitive as well. So being psychic isn't just about going, woo, I'm an empath. Oh no, oh no, no. You see that dog walking in a circle on the floor? I know that dog wants to take a shit right now. I can feel that dog wants to take a dump. Really? Is that what you're feeling right now? You want to know what I'm feeling when you say that to me? Like, seriously. I'm like, oh, that guy's yelling and screaming at me. I know what he's feeling right. Really? Seriously? What do you think I'm feeling right now? Anyways, Gemini is one of the more psychic signs of the zodiac. They're highly intuitive, and they're extremely fast. Anyways, John Talley says, you're quite sensitive, and you learn the delicate art of lovemaking very quickly. For that reason, you need a lover who responds to a rather gentle touch and who's ready to search for every possible means of sexual expression. You easily translate thought into action, and therefore you can become quite expert with a minimum of physical experience as long as it's backed up by maximum knowledge. That's what they do. Like, Gemini's a brainer sign, it's like having two brains. However, okay, so he goes on to say, however, you can be too knowledgeable, trying to pack too many different techniques into one night of love so that each individual expression is less meaningful. And his advice is better to savor each technique and reserve some for later enjoyment. But once again, Geminis like to do lots of different stuff. On the opposite side, however, although you value the emotional communication of love, or the emotional communion of love, you grow bored if the physical expression is always the same. So with Mars and Gemini, you got to mix it up sexually. Your lover should be willing to experiment, or at least go along with whatever you devise for variety's sake. You may enjoy using props and mechanical embellishments in lovemaking, particularly in acting out sexual fantasies. Such expressions can be quite fulfilling as long as it's not a substitute for emotional connection. You guys got that? Makes sense to everybody? Next, Mars in Gemini, the sexual technician. This is from Good Golly Astrology. I really like the way these guys say things. So let's sum things up here before we get to it. These guys are talking about sex. All these guys are going on and on and on and on. And, I cut so much out because they're saying the exact same thing. It's so boring. Geminis get bored. They like diversity, speed. They get bored. They like to talk it up, like blah, 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 blah. It's the same shit from everybody. But Mars and Gemini is so much more than this. They are expressive. You know, they do like sex. They do, you know, they can be emotional. They recover quickly. They like to move on to the next things. They want to see lots of stuff. They have multiple facets to them. And they just want to share all of this with you. That's the deal. Like, they have so much going on upstairs. They know so much. They want to share it with you. And I don't think anything's wrong with that. They have difficulty. Mars and Gemini will have difficulty expressing themselves. There's a lot of shit going on in their head, and they're trying to pump it out, and they only have one. You have two brains and only one mouth. You know, they're gonna mix shit up. They get sidetracked all the time. You know, they have a, you know, they're all over the place. Anyways, let's get back to it. This is the last one here, and I really like these guys. Good golly astrology. Mars and Gemini. They're called the sexual technician. Somebody had to write the book, right? It's curiosity. Oh, once here we go. Finally, someone talks about Gemini being curious. It's about fucking time. Okay, sorry. It's about time. It is curiosity, not desire, that's the source of this lover's sex drive. Mars and Gemini lovers regard the urgent demands of the body with the intellectual distance and rational coolness. Here, sex is less like biology, here, sex is less like biology and less like a physical appetite and more like an excellent excuse for having fun without an overly emotional connection. What's wrong with that? These guys want to fool around. Check it out. It's not a desire. Okay, it's curiosity. These guys are curious. They want to have a little bit of fun. They want to go see what's going on there. Mars and Gemini, they regard sex with a little bit of rational coolness. They just want to get out and have some fun. These are typical, right? These lovers are typical. They're typically very knowledgeable lovers who eagerly soak up information about sex. They're curious. They want to know what's going on. Their mental point of view makes them very adept in the techniques of lovemaking. The skills of giving and receiving pleasure. True, they may lack the fiery passion or the breathtaking sensuality of other Mars types, but a few hours alone with any Mars and Gemini lovers all leaves us a little better educated. Alright, it sounds a little cut and dry, but it's not. They like to experiment with things. They like to check things out. They like to say, hey, I might like that. Hey, I like it. What else you got? Hey, what else you got? Hey, what else? Yeah, I'll try it. That's Mars and Gemini. The key to understanding the Mars and Gemini lover is to recognize that sex is not essential to this individual. When sex, I didn't say that, these guys are saying it. When sex is available, they can revel in it without reservation or conscience. But when it isn't, or when sex becomes problematic for some reason, then this lover can quite comfortably hit the boogie and walk the fuck away. The Mars and Gemini person sublimates his or her sexuality much more effectively than the rest of us. Because sex is essentially an idea for them, and it's a curiosity. They're curious about it. You don't want to show me? Okay, next. Oh, come on, man. Let me check that shit out. You know, that's what a Mars and Gemini is like. And because sex, these guys say sex carries no deep personal or emotional baggage for these folks, they can look at it without prejudice or shame. Typically, though by no means always, these lovers have very liberal, experimental ideas about sex. Check it out. Let me show you something here on the chart. Scorpio is here, Gemini is down here. This is what's called an inconjunct. Gemini has lessons to learn on all levels, from Scorpio and Capricorn. Those are the two planets that teach Gemini, the two signs that teach Gemini lessons. And Mars and Gemini learn from Scorpio and Capricorn. And if we juxtapose these a little bit, you can get a better understanding of what's happening in Mars and Gemini. Scorpio is all about deep, possessive, passionate, obsessive, spiritual bonding through sex. Got that? Gemini, none of the above. They're like, hey, that's kind of cute. Why don't you put this thing on and let me see what it looks like. See if I like it. I like it. What else you got? And so, you know, hey, why don't you like spank me a little bit? Hey, I kind of like it. And so, or you know what? I'm not into that. Let's try something else. So, Scorpio is totally different. I'm gonna tie you down and I'm gonna make love to you with my teeth and fingernails for a while. Like, it's totally different. Then we get Capricorn. Capricorn is a sign of power. They want to dominate you with their sexuality. Capricorn is, very quietly, they're one of the most controlling signs of the zodiac. They want to tie you up. It's Saturn, restrictions. They want to restrict your movement. Gemini is not about restriction. Gemini is about, hey, what's up? What's going on? What's going on? Capricorn is, we're doing it my way. This is the way we're doing it. Gemini is like, hey, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? There's a lot more to we than just you and me here, just saying. And so that's the inconjunct. Those are the lessons that Mars and Gemini are learning. And that's how you can learn when you juxtapose these two ideas, the passion of Scorpio and the mental control freak nature of Capricorn. Then you get the easy, and you realize how easy breezy and loving Gemini really is. And they're also, they're one of the most erotic, I wouldn't say in the typical erotic sense, but they're one of the signs of sex in the zodiac. And they do it through intellectual curiosity. So if you want to pull a Gemini, someone with a Mars in Gemini, or Gemini with a high, someone with a high Gemini content in their chart, someone with a lot of Gemini energy flowing through them, then the way to pull that person, or the way to get them a little bit horizontal, or alone in a phone booth, so to speak. Does phone booths still exist? Alone in the back of a car? Do cars still exist? Alone in the bushes? Bushes exist. And so trees still exist, as far as I know. Or to get Geminis alone, to have sex with a Gemini, you got to stimulate their curiosity. That's the deal. Scorpio, their possessive nature. Capricorn, their control freakishness. They're like power, and their power kind of thing. They want to have power over you. Scorpios want to possess you. They want to bond with you. For Geminis, you got to stimulate their curiosity. Anyways, that's a yod configuration in astrology. All right, back to it. Good Golly Astrology says, the reason sex is not essential to Mars and Gemini lovers is because they base their relationships on intellectual compatibility. Hey man, did you? Oh yeah, check her out. She gives good conversation. What? Yeah, man, she gives good conversation. You should sit and talk to her. It's like the best thing I've ever experienced in my life. What? I'm addicted to talking to her. Okay, shut up, Sonny. Okay, shared thinking and shared ideas. Shared, right? Sharing. Shared thinking and shared ideas are much more important to this person than shared bodily fluids. Sex may serve as a means of attracting a particular person, and it may function as a way of increasing and testing intellectual affinity, but it's always seen as a device. Yes and no. I agree, disagree with it. Gemini can be a very horny sign, just to say straight up, in a very blunt way. It's quite possible for the Mars and Gemini person to love someone with whom they've never shared sex. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. It's also quite possible for this lover to have wonderful sex with people they care nothing about. Well, quite frankly, almost any sign can do that. It's the later quality that most often gets the Mars and Gemini lover into trouble. Promiscuity comes as easily to them as sublimation, and their sex. What doesn't come easy is saying it. Okay, well, you don't give good conversation, Sonny. Thank God. Like, the last thing I want to do when I go out on a date is talk. Okay, anyways, next. Because sex is not an essential element in their most important relationships, sexual loyalty also tends to mean very little to them. It's often hard for these lovers not to follow the lead of their incessant curiosity and make love with anyone who happens to interest them at the moment. All right, they may recognize the strain that this kind of behavior places on a relationship, but they typically underestimate the importance of these irrational factors. As knowledgeable, okay, and once again, this is a sign that's ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the trickster of the zodiac. We went over this at the beginning of the video. Mars in Gemini, they are mischievous. They're curious, they're mischievous, and they can be, they can be loose in the zipper. They can also be incredibly faithful, but, go check out one of my videos on who's the most trustworthy signs, or who's the most honest signs. And Gemini is, Mars and Geminis can throw a fib. As knowledgeable as these lovers are about sexual technique, they're often remarkably ignorant about the mechanisms of jealousy and possessiveness. Alright, whatever. All right, blah, 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 blah. They are essentially idealists, and the most perfect sexual contacts take place in the mind. All right, physical sex alone can become boring to these lovers, and their technical skill, their sexual inventiveness and curiosity is often merely a means of fending off that boredom. So once again, if you want to have sex with a Gemini or someone with a hard Gemini, a strong Gemini signature, one of the best ways to do it is when they're bored. If a Gemini is bored, they'll have sex with you. Same with a Libra. Same with a Sagittarius. Almost a lot of these guys will have sex with you when they're bored. Aquarius will have sex with you when they're bored as well. Scorpio, probably not. Cancer, probably not. Leo, probably not. But Gemini, maybe. It's only a relationship based on intellectual affinity. Blah 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 blah. Brains first. Celebrity examples of Mars in Gemini. Among our examples of this group, we find many people who took the precept that sex is not important as an excuse to have as much fun as they possibly could. What? All right. So, people who are major womanizers. Dennis Hopper, Bobby Darin, Eddie Fisher. Okay, so these guys are Mars in Gemini. They're womanizers. You know, they use this not caring thing as an excuse for bad behavior. And they also have women with the same idea, like Courtney Love. You know, having sex as a mean to get what they want. Josephine Baker and Jenna Jameson. Well, there you go. Mars in Gemini. There's someone who uses sex to get what they want in life. At the same time, there are examples of people who took the notion in the opposite direction and made sex a relatively insignificant portion of their lives, such as Elizabeth I and Virginia Woolf. Okay, they're a little out there, I gotta say. Okay. Also among our examples of the sexual technician, we have people who became notable for talking about the details of their sex life. Alright, now we got it. Gemini, talking, writing about it. Jean-Jacques Rousseau did this in his autobiography. Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec did this with his paintings of Paris and the nightlife, and about the brothels where he used to hang out. Robert Crumb used his comic strip to talk about all this. We also have this tales of romantic disappointments and joys, you know, from Joni Mitchell. Very neat. Among other examples of this type, we also see several people for whom sex was an insignificant part of their marital partnership. Franklin Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt, they say they stopped having sex fairly early in the marriage, you know, but they stayed together because of ideology. All right, and that's the action. It goes a little bit more blah blah and blah blah and blah blah blah, but I think you get the point. The other examples that they gave, celebrity examples, are people that nobody knows. So that's the action. Anyways, that's the action, guys. Thanks for hanging out. That's the gist on Mars in Gemini. So what do we know about this? Mars is your sexual energy. Gemini is highly curious, highly creative. They're definitely mischievous. They get bored very easily. They like to talk a lot. They write a lot. And that's the action. Depending on where it falls in your chart, you can be extremely faithful, or you can be not faithful at all. Mars and Gemini, what these guys didn't say is, when someone with Mars and Gemini is crossed, they can be extremely verbose and exceptionally creative in messing you up. Once again, these guys are creative, these guys are highly curious, and they're very smart, psychic, and fast, and they are not to be fucked with. But that's the deal. Be careful with losing your heart to one of these guys. You know, it's not that they don't care, and it's not really that they use people, but at the same time, you know, they have a different idea and rationale when it comes to emotional, you know, when it comes to their emotions and exchanging emotions. And that's the action. Maybe you can look at it like this. When the air signs, they like to weigh the options. You know, is it good? You know, so like Libra likes, yeah, should you know, Libra, yeah. Libra waits for all the information. Libra's waiting, and then they make their move. Aquarius is checking things out. Aquarius likes to mix things up. They're stubborn. They think they're right all the time, so they're going to go do their thing. Yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Aquarius wants everybody to have a good time. We're all friends. Let's go jump in the bush and get all nakedy and have some fun. Gemini is different. Gemini is taking in a lot of information. They communicate. They think about it. They want to experience it. And so, but it's not that they want to like live there in their whole lives. They just want to check it out. To Gemini, life is like a library. You know, check out this book, check out this book, check out that, check out that, check it out. Yeah, check it out. And but it's the twins. They're a couple. So it's like a bunch of people checking out a library and bringing all the information back that they want to share with you. And that's the action. That's Mars and Gemini. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, please give it a boop, a thumbs up. Please, if you want a personal reading, check it out in the description box below. Just message me through the description box below. And if you want to support the channel, please leave a little donation through PayPal. And of course, please subscribe. And that's the action. From TheSunnySide.net, I'm Sonny, wishing everyone the absolute best of a super, super beautiful day. You know, get out and have some fun. You know, we all know Gemini is going to get out and have some fun, so get out and have some fun. Wishing everyone the absolute best of a super beautiful day, and I'll see you guys soon.